Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a topic that really touches everyone, but often feels a bit, well, elusive. Self-love. Specifically, we want to look at practical ways to build it, like actionable habits you can actually use.
Right. And our source for this is a Healthline article. It's called 13 Habits of Self-Love Every Woman Should Adopt.
Okay.
It's written by Alice and Rachel Stewart, and interestingly, it's medically reviewed, so that adds a layer, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. And the author, she shares right at the start that her motivation actually came from her own stuff, her own struggles with mental health, dealing with depression, anxiety, just wanting to feel, quote, good and well.
That makes sense.
So that led her to ask other women, hey, what do you do for self-care? And these 13 points are really a compilation kind of those real-world experiences she gathered.
Okay, so it's grounded in lived experience. She frames these habits not just as a list, but almost like recipes, or maybe steps on a journey towards self-love.
Recipes, I like that.
Yeah, and she suggests they're, quote, simple in practice and multifaceted in their benefits. So our mission today is basically to unpack this source, pull out those core habits, those recipes, and understand the thinking behind them, make them digestible, and relevant for you.
Okay, let's jump in then. These habits.
Yeah.
The article presents them as distinct steps. First one up, habit number 1. It's about our relationship with other people. Specifically, stop comparing yourself to others.
The source points out that, comparison can feel natural. We're social creatures, right?
Right.
But it's actually pretty dangerous for our well-being.
Why dangerous?
Well, the core idea here is that there's just no real basis for it. The article says there's only one you. Simple as that. Your path, your life, it's unique. So comparing is kind of pointless.
And the payoff for letting go.
Yeah.
The article talks about freedom, right?
Yeah.
A huge feeling of freedom.
Exactly. Because when you're shifting your energy, you stop looking outward all the time and, bring that focus back to yourself.
Which leads pretty naturally into habit number 2, actually.
Which is, don't worry about others' opinions. And the source is pretty blunt here. It calls this a waste of time.
Waste of time. Wow. Okay. Why so strong on that?
Well, it connects right back to the first point. If you're constantly worried about pleasing everybody, which, let's be real, the article notes is impossible.
Totally impossible.
Right. You just get stuck, you slow yourself down, you actually stop your own journey towards being, well, the best you. It's a major distraction from your own needs, your own path, just like comparison.
That makes a lot of sense. Both are about sort of reclaiming your headspace, your energy. Okay, moving on. Habit number 3 touches on something I think is huge for a lot of people. Allow yourself to make mistakes.
Yeah, this is a big one. The source really highlights the societal pressure we feel, especially as we get older, to just never fail. Avoid it at all costs.
Perfectionism?
Exactly. But the message here is fundamental. Mistakes aren't failures. They're actually essential for learning, for growth. The article really encourages you to embrace your past, even the things you see as wrong turns.
Why embrace them?
Because you're constantly changing because of them. You evolve based on those lessons. It even says, forget that perfect voice in your head telling you not to mess up.
Yeah.
It calls the lessons you gain from mistakes priceless.
Priceless. I like that framing. Okay, habit number 4 feels, well, foundational. Remember, your value doesn't lie in how your body looks.
Yes. This is described in the article as a fundamental truth. Something the world, with all its noise and external pressures, and often internalized stuff like sexism, it constantly tries to make us forget this. But the article is firm. Your value comes simply from being you, period, independent of appearance.
And the practical takeaway linked to this is about clothes, right? What makes you feel confident, comfortable, genuinely happy, not chasing some external idea of how you should look.
Exactly. Which ties into boundaries, maybe. Habit number 5, don't be afraid to let go of toxic people.
Ooh, okay, letting go.
Yeah. This point acknowledges that, look, not everyone takes responsibility for the energy they put out there. And the source is clear. If someone is consistently bringing toxicity and they're not willing to change, stepping away, even though it might be painful, can be, quote, liberating and important.
Liberating. And the key phrase from the source here that really sticks is protect your energy.
Right. Yes, that's it. It explicitly says it's not rude, it's not wrong to remove yourself from situations or people that are just draining you.
So it reframes it. It's not selfish, it's actually necessary self-care.
Absolutely necessary. And speaking of internal states, that brings us to habit number 6. process your fears.
Okay, so not just ignore them or push them down,
Yeah.
actively process.
Exactly. The source calls fear natural and human. The advice isn't, pretend you're not scared. It's understand why you feel that fear.
Like digging into it.
Yeah, interrogate it. The article calls this a healthy exercise for your mental health because when you question your fears, you get clarity. It helps you sort of unmask the real issues causing the anxiety.
And that understanding itself can bring relief.
Often, yes. That understanding alone can lessen the anxiety's grip.
Okay, that connection seems really important. And it ties quite neatly into habit number 7. Trust yourself to make good decisions for yourself. The source points out how often we second-guess ourselves.
Constantly, right. But as the article highlights, deep down, we usually have a pretty strong sense of what's actually right for us. It's about validating that internal compass.
So trust your gut.
Essentially, yes, it confirms your feelings are valid. You're not, losing touch with reality. The core message is, you know yourself best, so be your own best advocate.
Be your own advocate. Okay. Habit number 8 then shifts more towards action, towards opportunity. Take every opportunity life presents or create your own.
Yeah, and the source is quite realistic here. Basically, it says the timing is never going to be perfect for those big steps, those dreams you have.
True. Waiting for perfect never works.
Right. If you wait for everything to be perfectly lined up, you might just never start. So the advice is pretty direct. Seize the moment when it shows up. Or if it doesn't show up, get proactive. Create your own opportunities. Because that perfect moment, it might not come around again.
That feels like permission to just start, even if it's messy.
Exactly. And building on that action idea, habit number 9 is a big one. Especially, I think, for listeners who might be used to putting others first.
Which is?
Put yourself first.
That can feel hard for people.
Totally. And the article gets that. It directly addresses the potential guilt. It explicitly says, don't feel bad about doing this.
Okay.
It acknowledges that women, particularly, are often conditioned to put everyone else's needs ahead of their own. But the source stresses this habit, putting yourself first. It shouldn't come at the cost of your own mental or emotional well-being.
So how do you do it practically, according to the source?
It's about deliberately finding time to decompress, to recharge. It could be anything, really. Spending a quiet day alone, getting out in nature.
Whatever works for you.
Right. The key is dedicating time to whatever genuinely helps you refill your own cup. Avoid burnout. Avoid that strain.
Makes sense. All right. Habit number 10 is about embracing the full spectrum of emotions. Feel pain and joy as fully as you can.
Yeah. So no holding back. Whether the feeling is considered good or bad,
Feel it all.
feel it all. The advice is, allow yourself the full range. Lean into pain when it's there, and really revel in your joy without putting limits on it.
And why is that important?
The source suggests that experiencing these emotions fully, kind of like processing fear, it helps you understand yourself better.
Oh.
And the ultimate realization that can come from this, according to the article, is learning that you are not just your feelings. You experience them, yes, but they don't define the totality of who you are.
That's quite profound, actually. You are not your feelings. Okay. Habit number 11 takes us back out into the world. Exercise boldness in public.
This means getting into the habit of speaking your mind, making your presence felt. And the article uses this really powerful analogy.
Yeah.
It says boldness isn't just a fixed trait, it's like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it, the more you exercise it.
Oh, I like that. Boldness as a muscle. So the more you practice speaking up, joining in, taking action, the easier it gets.
Precisely. The source's advice is very direct here. Don't wait for permission to take a seat at the table, so to speak. Join the conversation. Contribute your thoughts, they're important. Your voice matters. Exercising boldness is how you make sure it's heard.
That image really sticks. Habit number 12 then shifts our focus. Maybe we can word again. To perspective. See beauty in the simple things.
Yeah, and the recommendation is super practical. It's a simple daily practice. Just consciously notice at least one beautiful small thing around you every day.
Just notice it.
Notice it, maybe make a mental note or even jot it down. And practice gratitude for it. The source calls gratitude essential for finding joy. It gives you perspective, which is crucial.
So it's active, not just passively seeing nice things, but actively cultivating appreciation.
Exactly. And finally, the 13th habit circles right back to our internal dialogue. Be kind to yourself.
Okay. Seems simple, but maybe isn't always easy.
Definitely not. The source acknowledges, look, the world out there can be harsh, critical.
Yeah.
So given that it's vital not to add your own internal harshness into the mix, speak kindly to yourself. Don't call yourself mean names. Avoid that negative self-talk.
And there's a part about celebration too, isn't there? In the source.
Yes, absolutely. Part of that kindness is celebrating yourself. Celebrate how far you've come. Acknowledge your growth, your achievements, big or small.
Don't just wait for your birthday.
Exactly. Don't wait for special occasions to recognize your own journey and progress.
Okay, so those are the 13 points from the Healthline article. What's the overall takeaway the author leaves us with?
The main message is that self-love, it's probably not going to happen overnight. It's a process. But with consistent effort, with practice, it settles into your heart.
Settle into your heart.
Yeah. And that even the difficult moments you hit along the way, they aren't really setbacks. They're more like stepping stones on this ongoing journey toward being the best version of yourself.
Stepping stones.
Yeah.
And it's worth just quickly mentioning, again, like you said at the start, this is from Healthline. It's medically reviewed.
Right. And it cites research in areas like self-esteem, self-compassion, social comparison. So it suggests these habits aren't just, nice ideas or personal anecdotes. They likely have some grounding in broader research, which contributes to those multifaceted benefits the author mentioned.
Okay. So presented as actionable steps, potentially backed by some research, this deep dive was really about exploring these specific recipes for self-love, just as they were laid out in this particular Healthline article.
Exactly. And as you've been listening, maybe hearing these 13 habits laid out, which one kind of jumps out at you? Which feels like maybe the most relevant or the most potent stepping stone for you right now? And maybe why that might be.
Or perhaps thinking about that image. Boldness is a muscle. Does that change how you think about speaking up? Or the idea of actively protecting your energy? How does framing it that way shift your perspective on your interactions? Or even just your own boundaries and needs day to day?
Definitely some food for thought there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the source material today.